The movie begins with Stan Minton, a wealthy real estate scammer who's made a fortune by swindling elderly people out of their savings. Eventually, he's caught, arrested, and convicted of first-degree fraud. His lawyer, Mal, defends him during the trial, but after Stan is found guilty, he learns he's facing a sentence of 3 to 5 years. Stan urges Mal to bribe the judge, but when Mal refuses, Stan fires him and hires a shady attorney named Lew Popper. Popper bribes the judge, Perry, but the only deal he manages to secure is a 6-month delay before Stan's imprisonment, during which Stan must teach music to children with disabilities. In the end, Stan is sentenced to 3 years. Popper suggests Stan leave the U.S. permanently to escape jail, but Stan has $7 million frozen in banks and doesn't want to leave that behind. One night at dinner, Stan's wife, Mindy, suggests having a child so she won't be alone while he's incarcerated. Stan brushes off the idea and proposes getting a dog instead. Upset by his lack of sensitivity, Mindy storms out in tears, leaving Stan feeling ashamed and alone. Depressed, Stan goes for a late-night drive and ends up in a bar. There he notices a man with a prison tattoo and offers him $100 for tips on surviving behind bars. The man paints a bleak picture, explaining that prison guards ignore violence and that inmates survive based on how feared they are. He tells Stan he'll be an easy target and recommends aligning with one of the prison gangs, Nazis, Black, Latino, or other ethnic groups. But Stan doesn't fit into any of them. Driven by his fear of jailhouse sexual assault, Stan joins a karate class to learn self-defense. However, his impatience quickly gets the best of him. He thinks he's ready for advanced techniques after barely grasping the basics. To humble him, the instructor arranges a sparring match with another student. Stan overreacts, and the situation escalates, leading to his expulsion from the class and a beating from the sensei. Feeling hopeless, Stan crosses paths with a mysterious old man known only as the Master. The man immediately earns Stan's respect by casually punching a hole through a solid wall. Stan begs to be trained by him, and the Master agrees, on the condition that he'll be paid once Stan's frozen bank account is accessible. The Master wakes Stan at 5 in the morning and makes him eat raw liver for breakfast, followed by a smoothie made from ox pancreas and horse tongues. When Stan complains and asks for a hot dog instead, the Master replies sarcastically, "You'll get plenty of hot dogs in prison." The training only becomes more bizarre and painful. The Master beats Stan with flaming sticks and focuses on strengthening vulnerable body parts like his nipples. He smokes constantly throughout the house and even forces Stan to eat scorpions. Eventually, Mindy has had enough. Unable to tolerate the chaos any longer, she leaves, especially after Stan refuses to kick the Master out. With Mindy gone, the Master turns up the intensity. He begins hardening Stan's hands and fingers, training him to break bricks barehanded and improving his combat skills with weapons and close-quarters fighting. Over the next 5 months, Stan transforms into a formidable fighter, ready to face whatever prison throws at him. As a final test of his training, Stan returns to the karate dojo that once humiliated him. This time, he easily defeats the instructor, proving how far he's come. Upon arrival at the prison, the new inmates are greeted by Warden Francis Gasque, calm but intimidating. Gasque warns them not to give him or his staff any trouble. Beyond that, he tells them they're free to do whatever they want to each other. Stan is then assigned to a cell shared with an elderly inmate named Larry. Without hesitation, Stan asserts control by telling Larry to take the bottom bunk. Later, out in the prison yard, Stan asks Larry who the top dogs are. Larry points out the key figures: Cleon, who leads the black gang, Juanito, who runs the Mexican gang, and Patterson, the leader of the Nazi gang. Then there's Big Raymond, a dangerous inmate and the most feared sexual predator in the prison. Stan gets a first-hand look at Raymond's cruelty when he sees him harassing a new prisoner named Robbie. Determined to make himself known, Stan boldly confronts Big Raymond in front of the entire prison yard. Drawing on everything he learned from the Master, he defeats Raymond with ease, breaking his fingers and humiliating him in front of everyone. Patterson takes interest in Stan and invites him to join their gang. But Stan shocks everyone by knocking Patterson down as well. His bold move draws the attention of the black gang, who are furious over what he did to Raymond. Another brawl erupts, but Stan easily takes them all on. The guards, clearly entertained, make no effort to intervene. The fight ends with Stan landing a punch squarely on Cleon's face, knocking out all his golden teeth. Warden Gasque watches the entire scene unfold as Stan calmly walks away, leaving the prison yard in stunned silence. From that moment on, Stan's reputation skyrockets. The inmates start calling him Big Stan, and wherever he goes, they clear a path for him. At lunch, Stan tries prison food for the first time and is surprised how good it tastes, likely because he's used to eating raw animal parts thanks to the master. Warden Gasque summons Stan to his office. Gasque offers him a cigar and brandy, then reveals that Stan's placement in this particular prison was no accident. He personally arranged it. Gasque explains that he needs Stan's skills as a real estate expert. His plan is to seize the prison property and convert it into a lucrative timeshare condominium development. In return for Stan's cooperation, Gasque promises an early release after just 1 year. As a warden, he has the authority to recommend early parole for non-violent, first-time offenders. Stan agrees to the deal, though Gasque remains vague about how he plans to clear out the inmates to make the project happen. Later, while in the prison showers, Patterson ambushes Stan with a melted toothbrush rigged with a razor blade. But Stan, unfazed, defends himself using bars of soap and a pair of shoelaces tied into makeshift nunchaku, easily defeating Patterson again. Out in the yard, Stan spots Robbie being bullied by other inmates. While talking with Stan, Larry urinates on Gasque's sacred potch bed. Stan contacts his corrupt lawyer Popper to check on the progress of his appeal. Popper assures him that he's working on it and happens to be sitting next to the lead juror at the moment. Feeling optimistic, Stan throws himself into helping Gasque with the real estate project. Gasque introduced Stan to his business partner, Dang, a Vietnamese mobster who sits on the prison board. Stan points out to Gasque that his contract with Dang leaves him open to infinite liability and refers Gasque to Popper to get them fixed. Meanwhile, Gasque and Dang share a bowl of strawberries from Gasque's prize patch, but spit them out in disgust, thinking they were picked too early. Back in his cell, Stan writes Mindy a heartfelt letter. In it, he admits that he now understands her desire to have a child and hopes she might forgive him someday. Wanting to change the toxic prison culture, Stan gathers all the inmates for a meeting. He takes a bold approach, banning violent movies and video games, and instead introducing romantic Mexican dance music to encourage cooperation across gang lines. He also establishes a new code of conduct. Sexual assault is forbidden, except against sexual predators and child molesters, and consensual relationships between inmates are allowed. Stan receives a letter from Mindy saying she's ready to visit him. During their emotional reunion, she casually mentions that the master is living at their house and has been teaching her Kama Sutra positions. Stan immediately jumps to conclusions, suspecting she's sleeping with the master, and becomes jealous and frustrated. Soon after, Warden Gasque summons Stan. Furious, he accuses Stan's peacekeeping efforts of sabotaging his plan to incite a riot. He warns Stan to stop interfering and reminds him that if he plays along, a parole hearing could be just around the corner. Eager to reunite with Mindy, Stan reluctantly agrees. Then, Stan calls a meeting with the inmates and tells them to go back to their old ways. Order collapses and violence quickly returns to the prison yard. Larry, sensing something is wrong, begins warning others that something bigger might be at play. Meanwhile, Gasque gives the Board of Governors a tour, expecting to witness chaos and violence near the perimeter, evidence he can use to justify shutting the prison down. But at the last minute, Stan has a change of heart. He deliberately blows his parole hearing to rush back to save his fellow inmates. On the way, he's intercepted by Dang, who reveals that he too was once a student of the master. A fierce fight erupts, and in the end, Stan defeats Dang using the ultimate move, the Finger of Death. When Stan returns to the yard, he finds something unexpected. Instead of fighting, the inmates are dancing together in harmony. His message of peace had taken root after all. Warden Gasque, enraged had his plan has failed, orders the guards to open fire on the inmates, but the guards refused. Desperate, Gasque grabs a gun and begins shooting wildly at the prisoners, shocking the Board of Governors. When he tries to shoot Stan, he's stopped just in time by Mindy and the master, who had secretly snuck in. Stan is stunned to learn that during his time in prison, the master had been training Mindy as well. 3 years later, Stan leaves the prison, which is now run by Bullard, while Gasque becomes the new inmate, following his arrest for his illegal activities. Stan is met by his wife, his young daughter Mindy Jr., and the master outside the prison. While the master has become Mindy's Jr.'s nanny, Stan is annoyed that he has been smoking near her. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button. And if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. It would be best if you watched the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more videos like this.